From generation to generation, a promise traveled through time, whispered to shepherds, declared to kings, and carried by ordinary men. These were the men in the lineage of Jesus, not perfect men, but chosen men. They carried the hope of the world in their bloodline. Let's walk their roads, see their struggles, and understand the weight of their calling. Abraham, a man asked to leave everything familiar and walk into the unknown. God promised him descendants as countless as the stars, but for years the promise seemed impossible. His faith was tested, and at times fear won. He lied about Sarah to protect himself and even tried to force God's plan through his own way. He had the first son, not the promised son, and that didn't end well. He survived famine, went to foreign lands in search for greener pastures, went back to the promised land. The promised son took long to come. Eventually Isaac was born to a 100-year-old man. His faith in God did not waver, even when facing challenges. Yet when called to offer his beloved son, Abraham obeyed. It was on this mountain that faith became more than words. It became surrender. Abraham reminds us that faith is not without stumbles, but the journey of trust shapes the man God uses. Isaac, the miracle child, born when his parents were far too old, he was the living proof that God keeps his promises. His life was quieter than his father's, yet not without flaws. He repeated Abraham's mistake of lying about his wife, Rebekah, and favored one son over the other, planting seeds of division. But Isaac's name means laughter, and in God's plan he became the bridge between promise and fulfillment. His life was less dramatic, but he still saw the hand of God, planting during a famine and reaping 100-fold. Isaac's story shows that even those who live in the shadow of great faith still face their own tests of character. Jacob, the one who grasped, who deceived, who schemed his way into blessings. He tricked his brother Esau, deceived his father, and spent years running from the consequences. He learned the hard way, literally, that good things come to those who work hard, not just wait. He worked 7 years for his beloved Rachel, but was deceived, a taste of his own medicine. He was given the older sister, Leah. He worked another 7 years for the second wife. He worked again for his wealth, with the supernatural hand of God in getting the flocks to build his wealth. When the time came, he left his father-in-law's house. Then, on a lonely night, Jacob wrestled with God, refusing to let go until he received a blessing. God gave him a new name, Israel. From a deceiver to a nation-bearer, Jacob's transformation is proof that God's grace can rewrite a man's story. Jacob shows us that God doesn't choose perfect men, he perfects the men he chooses. Judah, a man whose hands once sold his own brother into slavery. His choices were stained with greed and selfishness. But time and trials changed him. Years later, when another brother's life was at risk, Judah offered himself instead. From the same lips that once spoke betrayal came words of self-sacrifice. In a moment of weakness, Judah went into his own daughter-in-law, a widow who deceived him because he had not fulfilled his promise of giving her his son as husband. Even though this deceit, God showed him mercy. And it was through Judah's line that kings would come, and eventually the King of Kings. Judah reminds us that the past doesn't have to define us. Redemption can still write the ending. David, the shepherd who became king, the warrior who became poet. He faced giants, led armies, and brought Israel to greatness. He served the king who sought to destroy him, yet he did not retaliate, though a chance was before him. But he also fell, taking another man's wife and arranging his death. Confronted by the prophet Nathan, David broke in repentance, crying, Create in me a clean heart, O God. This sin caused the son not to survive and brought a curse on his household. His son molested his sister, his other son killed his brother for defiling his sister. David's own son Absalom went after his father because of the throne. Even with such a mess, God called him a man after his own heart, not because he was flawless, but because he returned to God when he fell. David's life tells us that greatness is not in never falling, but in always returning to the one who lifts us up. Solomon, a son of David, born from a story of sin and grace. God gave him wisdom beyond measure, riches beyond kings, and peace in his reign. Yet the very heart that asked for wisdom wandered into idolatry. Foreign alliances, political marriages, and the worship of other gods weakened the kingdom. Still, his writings in Proverbs and Ecclesiastes carry eternal truths that outlasted his failings. Solomon's story warns us that wisdom must be guarded, for even the wise can lose their way. Joseph, a humble carpenter from Nazareth, chosen for an unthinkable role to raise the Son of God. When Mary was found with child, Joseph planned to quietly end the engagement until an angel spoke in a dream. He obeyed without hesitation, protecting Mary and Jesus from danger, leading them to safety in Egypt. Though not the biological father, Joseph's obedience, integrity, and faithfulness left a legacy far greater than blood. Joseph shows us that the greatest callings are often fulfilled in quiet faithfulness, far from the eyes of the world. 7 men, different centuries, different struggles. Abraham's faith, Isaac's quiet endurance, Jacob's transformation, Judah's redemption, David's repentance, Solomon's wisdom and weakness, Joseph's quiet obedience. Each man carried the thread of a promise that would be fulfilled in a small town called Bethlehem. The lineage of Jesus is not a list of perfect men. It is a testimony that God works through the flawed, the broken, the repentant, and the faithful to bring salvation to the world. And just like them, our names may one day tell a story, not of our perfection, but of His grace. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and share this video.